tomorrow I will work.
Okay. But
Maybe
you don't used to light candles or anything with your family,
yes,
boyfriend?
yes, with my family, but I prefer uh, to do the 8th of December.
Ah, okay. I
I
didn't know. I
prefer.
thought, okay, very good. And well, imagine I have been like a couple of times, and it's customary to go around the city, go to Parque El Rio or something like that, no? Like to watch
Yes,
all the. Oh, it's great,
yes,
it's
the
beautiful.
lights.
The lights. Do you plan to do that?
Uh, I don't like very much this plan because it's very crowded place.
Yes, exactly. Okay, very good. What about two other places like Envigado, Itagüí, that they are close and also beautiful lighted?
Yes,
Poblado, yes, maybe.
yes, Bello.
Bello is the other one. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
Bello, yes. Okay, got it. Very good. So Bello is Bello, right?
Bello,
Working
Bello,
on that,
sí.
yes. Very good, excellent. So in that case, well, today is gonna be the last class of the week. So no worries. It's gonna be the class number 5.2. I don't know if you saw the video, but I already sent it with the name and the mail of the teacher who is gonna be replacing me for my propagation period.
No, teacher.
No?
No, I didn't.
Oh shoot. But are you in the group of WhatsApp? Or maybe you just don't
Yes,
check it?
yes,
Okay, in the group you can find the video, okay? I send it there. It's the video with the name and the mail of the teacher who's gonna be my replacement, okay?
yes, teacher.
Got it. It's only 2 weeks. Well, in the video you can find all the information. If you have any questions, you can text me, but in the video is going to be all the information clear, okay? Don't worry. I talk to the
Okay,
teacher
teacher.
and I tell him like you are going to be well that you prefer classes at like in the afternoon, evening, because it's the time that you can. Earlier you can't. So the teacher told me like he's going to program classes at night, so you can program them. The name of the teacher is Andres Grijalva. Ready? In case that you wonder what is the name of the teacher, it's Andres Grijalva. You can find it like that in the platform when you are going to like program the classes of the next weeks. Okay,
Okay, teacher.
ready here. Bueno, ahora sí, let's start with the class of today. I'm going to have 2 questions for you. I know that probably you are not too much of giving recommendations because you don't like to get into the other people's life, but maybe there is a person, right? So that you can talk to like calmly. The first question is, who gives you the best recommendations or the best advices? Who gives you the best advices?
Mm, teacher, I don't understand very well the question.
Well, in this case, I'm asking like, what is the person?
¿Quién me da a mí las mejores recomendaciones?
Yes,
Ah,
exactly. Who
okay.
gives you the best recommendation?
The best recommendations gives me my best friend.
The opposite. My best friend.
My best friend give me
Exactly.
the best
Okay.
recommendation.
Good, excellent. So it's a woman or it's a man?
Is a woman.
What is her name?
Her name is Roxana.
Roxanne. So let's say that Roxy gives me, right? So you say like it's the opposite, no? So Roxy or Roxana gives me the best recommendations. Okay, muy bien, that's great. I thought that it was going to be your mother. Pero que ibas a decir, no, my mother. No?
No, my mother think very different to me.
Okay, very good. That's great. And the other question, ahora sí, it's the opposite. Who do you give recommendations to? I think that you, Andrea, you are not a person that gives a lot of recommendations because you don't like to get into the other person's life. But sometimes maybe you can give recommendations. So, who do you normally give recommendations to?
Mm, I don't know. Eh, I feel that I am not very good for give recommendations
I
to
imagine
other
that.
people.
I imagine that, yes.
Yes. Eh, but in the professional life, maybe yes.
Okay.
Mm, I give I give them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I give them
to your team.
yes.
Oh, okay.
It's more easy for me. Professional recommendations to personal recommendations.
Yeah, of course, personal recommendations is difficult because you don't know the life of the other person. No? So,
Yes.
okay. But maybe about, like, maybe do you give recommendations to Roxana too? Sometimes?
Uh, mm,
Not so much.
Not so much.
Okay, very good. Why don't you like to
He
give?
is
Uh-huh.
more new for me than me.
She's,
Es como más sabia.
she's wiser. Wise, it
Bueno,
means, wise, it means sabio. Entonces, como es monosílabo, simplemente, she's wiser than me.
yes.
Okay, yeah, very good, excellent. So that's it. But why do you feel that you don't like to give recommendations to the other people? In my case, I don't like to give recommendations to the other people because I don't like to, maybe the recommendation goes bad. It's a bad recommendation, and maybe the person is going to, like, how do you say that? It's going to put the fault on me. It's going to blame me. Me va a culpar. It's going to blame me for the decisions that they made because I gave the recommendation. That's why I don't like to give any
Yes,
recommendations
it's
to the
true.
people.
It's true.
It's the same in your case.
Yes. Also, I am very uh, criticisms.
Critical.
Uh, Critical. Yes.
Yes.
And sometimes I am very hard to say recommendations
Okay, I got it.
because for I is very easy. All I don't know.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. For us, it's easier to do the things like, no, pues do that, and that's it. And the person is going to say, no, but it's too difficult. And you said, nah. Okay, very good. That's why you give recommendations, professional recommendations, and not personal recommendations because the people don't follow them, right?
Yes, teacher.
Good. And the adjective, it's critical. Es como crítico. Ready? Criticism sí existe, but it's a noun. Un sustantivo. Es crítica. O sea, crítica me refiero a una crítica. A criticism. Ready? And crítica de una persona crítica, it means critical. Ready?
Critical.
Exactly like that. Bueno, muy bien, very good. So, my dear Andrew, in this case, we have basically always two subjects in these sentences, right? We have two subjects because there is an interaction. One person that is giving something, a recommendation maybe, and the other person that is receiving the recommendation. Yes? The recommendation is a sentence, right? And in that case, we complete the three elements of a sentence, right? We have the subject, you know, we have the action that is give or speak or recommend, right? And we have the object which is the recommendation, right? So today we're going to have a short class. Actually, it's pretty short because we know this part, but it's for learning about how can we accommodate or how can we organize these verbs or these parts, sorry, into a sentence. So we have the subject, we have the verb of the action, and we have the object of the action. Already we have seen all of them. We know what is the subject, that it's the person that does an action. Yes, it's the person, right? The verb, which is the action that we are talking about. Ready? It's the action that we are talking about. And then we have the object. The object, which can be a person, of course, or can be a real object, which is the one that is receiving the action over. Ready? But we remember that we have two different kinds of objects. Do you remember what were the two different kinds of objects? Do you more or less remember?
Mm, not very well, teacher.
I'm going to give you one clue. One starts with D, the other one starts with I.
No, teacher.
No, but no worries. We have two different kinds of objects. One is the direct object, and the other one is the
Okay.
indirect object. Hmm? The direct object is the one that is directly receiving the action. It's directly receiving the action. When we say, for example, give a recommendation, the one that is receiving the action of being given, de ser dada, it's the recommendation, right? So recommendation in that sentence is the direct object, right? So you said, yeah, the best recommendation, which is the ones that it's given, es lo que es dado, it's the direct object, right? But sometimes, not always, sometimes we are going to have an indirect object. The indirect object is the one that receives the direct object. So it's like a chain of elements, like followed, like concatenated in a line. First, we have the person, then we have the action, so it's like connected, yes? And that action is over an object. Let's say it's the recommendation, it's the object, right? So in that case, it's also like chained, follow, connected with. And if it's possible, not always is possible, but with in today's class is going to be always possible. We have another one. Usually it's a person that receives that object. So it's like a chain of elements, a series of elements connected. Ready? So we have the subject, we have the verb, we have the object, the direct object, and we have the indirect object. And we say, so that's it. That's how you organize a sentence. But it's not always like that, right? Why? Because depending on the verb, I can have this structure or I can have another structure. For example, I said, I give recommendations. When actually you said that I give recommendations to my team. You are the subject. The action that you do is give. What you give is the recommendation, that is the direct object, ¿cierto? And the person, or in this case, the people who receive those recommendations are your team. They are the indirect object, right? And it's following this structure. But actually, on the first example that you said, it was not that structure because you said, Roxana, Roxana gives me the best recommendations, right? In that case, if we analyze it, that is not the structure that we are following because look at this. Roxana is the subject. Okay, that one, it's the same, right? No problem. The action that she's doing is giving. It's the same, right? But in that case, she is not giving you. Ella no te está dando a ti, te está dando otra cosa, the recommendations. And the recommendations, you are the one who you are receiving. So for example, in this case, the structure it's a little bit different because here we have the indirect object first, and then we have the direct object. So the sentence is the opposite over here. The first part, it's always the same, but the second part can change. The part of the direct and the indirect object, it can be organized differently. Ready? So we're going to see the three different ways of, well, the two different ways that you can do it, that you can organize these sentences, and the verbs that follow every single structure in that case, right? Take into account that first, we're going to work with verbs, the transitive, yes, with the transitive verbs. The transitive verbs. If we say the, it means to, no, it comes from the root to, right? If we say the transitive, is because it's going to have the two objects. When we talk about the transitive verb, is because it's a verb that receives two objects, direct object and indirect object. Ready? Not all the verbs do that. It's actually few the verbs that do that. Other verbs only receive one object, the direct object, and that's it. All other verbs don't receive objects. They are impersonal. So today we're going to work specifically with the detransitive verbs. Sé que de pronto te suenan por ahí, porque ya los habíamos visto, right? The detransitive verbs. So in that case, the detransitive verbs are few, sorry, and we're going to see how do they work, if they follow this structure or if they follow this structure. Ready? So let's continue. Hasta ahí como vas with the difference between one sentence and the other one. Is clear? It's just a thing of accommodation, no more.
Teacher, more or less. In
Mhm.
two structures, I can use the direct object and indirect object.
Exactly. Yes.
The
The only
difference,
difference,
the order.
the other difference is the order, exactly like that. The difference is the organization. Sometimes you can put the direct first, sometimes you can put the indirect first, depending on the verb. Ready? So let's see which verbs work how. Here we have two different structures. The first one, it's the probably most formal one. Yeah, it's going to be the direct object and includes a preposition, sometimes to, a, or sometimes for, para, and then the indirect object. Ready? So, for example, I give, I give suggestions or advices to my team. For example, right? I give advices to my team. Le doy recomendaciones a mi equipo. Could be. Ready? In what case I can use the preposition for? When we are doing something para another person. For example, I cook lunch for my family. The subject, of course, is me. The action that I do, it's cooking. What do I cook? What is the direct object? The lunch. Ready? Who receives that lunch? My family. They are the indirect object. In that case, it's not to, but it's for because it's an action para another person. No a otra persona, sino para otra persona. So in that case, I use the preposition for. Ready? Bueno, what verbs follow only, exclusively this structure? Announce, describe, explain, mention, provide, similar to give, recommend, return, and say. Hmm? Those verbs only follow this structure. So, for example, they say, let's say, I explain the topic for Andrea. Yeah, explico el tema para Andrea, right? So I am the subject. The action that I do is explaining. What do I explain? The topic. For whom? Andrea, right? These verbs cannot work with the other structure. For example, I explain Andrea the topic, like in Spanish. No. Why not? In this case, when I say I explain Andrea, it's like yo explico a Andrea. O sea, yo digo, mire, esta es Andrea, esta es la cabeza de Andrea, los brazos de Andrea. So it's not, yeah, it's not possible that way. In this case, with these verbs, it's necessary that we use the other structure, including the preposition between the two objects. Between the direct object and the indirect object, we have the preposition, and we said that we do that action with that object to or for another person, which is going to be the indirect object. Hmm? Andre, any questions on the verbs that we have here, or are they clear?
Teacher, so I explained Andrea the topic is incorrect.
Exactly, I explained the topic, it's incorrect. En español no sirve. Digo, no, yo le explico el tema a Andrea, o yo le explico a Andrea el tema. Cualquiera de las dos, it's the same, right? But in English, no. When I use the verbs and I mention the object, like I explain Andrea, yeah, it's like estoy dando una explicación sobre quién es Andrea o algo así. Estoy explicando a
Um,
Andrea como sujeto, right?
but I can't say I explain her the topic.
I explain here the topic. It's also very similar. It's actually the same, right? It's used? Yes, it's used. Okay. So honestly, this order is not always respected. You know,
Porque sonaría más como yo le explico a ella, ¿no?
exactly, yes. But the correct way is to say, I explain it to her. Yes. So if I
Ah,
want to reduce it with object pronouns, it's possible, no? In this case, her, in this case, it, the topic, cierto? Yes. But it would be, I explain it for her. Yes. It's used, claro, of course, in the normal everyday English. This is not always respected. No siempre se respeta esta estructura en el inglés diario. Ready? Muchas
yes.
veces uno puede escuchar, I explain her the topic. Y es como que se entiende, se sobreentiende que le explico a esa persona el tema, something
Pero
like
está
that.
mal la estructura.
Está mal estructura, exactly like that, right? That's the, understand.
Okay,
And
teacher.
this, but questions with these verbs, announce, describe, explain, mention, provide.
No, teacher.
No, it's all right. Muy bien, very good. For example, here, we're going to have the verb provide. Provide, it means proveer, right? So in that case, who provides money at home? Bueno, más bien for home. In your house, André.
In my house, my brothers and me provide uh, for provide the money for home.
Very good. Oh, for family. Yeah, whatever. So very good. My
Family,
brothers. Even yes.
no, nothing, teacher.
Provide money for
Home.
for a home or for the family, whatever, you know? Do you think that it's like, is it possible or does it sound good for you when I say, my brothers and me provide family money? Is
No.
it right? No, it doesn't sound right. Yes. So in that case, normally this is the structure that we have to follow with these verbs, right?
Okay.
Right? There is another one, another structure, which is shorter, yes, and it's because it's more focused on the person that receives the action, on like on the final receptor of the action, which is the indirect object. That is why, in this case, the indirect object goes first and the direct object goes at the end. In this case, we don't have to use any preposition between the two subjects, right? Between the two objects, sorry. In that case, we don't have to use any preposition, not to, nor for. Without the preposition, it's fine. We have the indirect object first, and then we have the direct object. Which are the verbs? Allow, ask, cause, cost. Ready? Allow, ask, cause, and cost. Cost, costar, cause, causar, ask, pedir, right? And allow, it's also going to be just like a permitir. Ready? No problem. So, for example, in that case, I would say, oh my God, wait. I need to make the eraser bigger. Yeah, that's it. So in that case, for example, I can say, no sé, my phone cost me an arm and a leg. An arm and a leg, it's an expression that is similar to when we say un ojo de la cara. Ready? So it means very
Okay.
expensive, right? An arm and a leg. O sea que esto es una, sorry. An arm, o sea, un brazo y una pierna. An arm and a leg. Ready? In that case,
Okay.
my phone, it's the subject. Ready? So it's the subject because that is the real subject that is cost. Es lo que está costando. Ready? So in that case, the action, it's cost. El que cuesta no soy yo, it's my phone. That's why it is the subject. Ahora, ¿a quién le costó? Ahora sí, me. Ready? So my phone cost me. I am the
Indirect
indirect
object.
object. Very good. ¿Cuánto costó o qué fue lo que costó? Ah, okay. An arm and a leg. That's gonna be the direct object. Ready?
Okay.
This it's also used in this structure. Yes, but it's incorrect. No, for example, I can say my phone cost an arm and a leg to me. See, of course, it's possible to organize it like that, but it's not correct. The ideal way would be without using prepositions and putting first the person. Because in this case, the focus, the emphasis of the sentence is the person that received that action. Right?
Okay, teacher.
Good, very good. Another one, for example, what causes you stress in your daily life, my dear Andre? What causes you stress? Bueno, maybe the question is what doesn't cause you stress? Mentiras. What causes you stress in your daily life?
Teacher, the heat caused me uh, to stress or
Too much
too
stress.
much stress.
Good. So, for example, you said, so that's why you take double shower in the day.
Yes.
Very good. So you said the heat causes, of course, third person because it's the heat, causes me too much stress, right? So you said, what is the cause? The heat. What is causing too much stress? To whom? Again, to me. So that's why I am here using the indirect object first. Ready? So that is why these four verbs use more commonly this structure. Ready? Questions, my dear, difficulties
Yes,
there?
teacher.
No, all fine?
No, teacher.
No, it's good. Listo. Now, there are other different verbs that are more flexible and depend on your intention if you want to focus on the direct object or if you want to focus on the person who receives the direct object, you can use both structures. Verbs get, give, lend, offer, sell, send, show, teach, tell. You have the two possibilities, right? So, for example, when I say I teach, aquí sí podemos decir I teach her English. Or I teach English to her, right? Both possibilities are going to be fine, depending on what you want to emphasize. For example, here in this sentence, I am emphasizing a quién. So I'm saying like, Andre. I'm teaching Andre English, right? The second part is less important. Aquí no, I am emphasizing the subject. ¿Qué es lo que le enseño Andrea? English. It's the one that I'm teaching. So depending if you want to emphasize one or the other, you have to use one structure or the other. But with these verbs, ready? With these verbs, it's going to you are going to have the possibility to use one or the other, depending on your intention. Got it?
Yes, teacher. I can say, for example, the head gives me a headache.
Headache. Mhm. The heat gives me a headache. Good. O
Or
the head. My God, I'm sorry. The heat. The heat.
mm,
How would be the other option?
I don't know.
Organize it like this. This one belongs to this structure. Gives me a headache. You are emphasizing yourself. But what about
I
if I want to emphasize the headache? You want to emphasize the problem.
the head the head
The heat?
uh, the heat gives to me. No,
¿Qué te da?
head
Exacto.
gives
Entonces,
head to me.
exacto,
To,
muy bien, very
or
good.
I-
Normalmente en ese caso, como voy a enfatizar el dolor de cabeza, lo que hago es describirlo un poquito más, de pronto un poco más detallado. Por ejemplo, the heat gives a terrible headache.
okay.
Headache. Esa palabra H suena como ache, como está junta con head,
Okay.
entonces suena todo
Ache.
headache. ¿Listo? Entonces, headache, I see to me, right? Ya no estás enfatizando que es a ti, sino estás enfatizando qué es lo que te da. Just a
Oh,
terrible headache to me.
okay, teacher.
It's really good. But yes, exactly. Actually, the first two examples were that, no? So in the first two examples, you said, Roxana gives me the best recommendations. Or I give, well, let's say, for example, Roxana gives the best recommendations to me.
To me.
That's the same. I give recommendations to my team. O simplemente I give my team some recommendations, right? So as you want to organize it, it's going to be fine with these verbs. Get, give, lend, offer, sell, send, show, teach, and tell. Ready?
Teacher, what is length?
Lend, it means prestar. Example, no?
Ah,
So, let's see. I don't know. What was the last thing that you lent to one of your brothers?
nothing. I don't let nothing to my brothers.
What about to your boyfriend? No, maybe or nothing.
Eh, I don't know. Maybe money.
Maybe money. Te preguntaría qué te prestaron a ti, pero estoy seguro que no te han prestado nada because you don't need anything, right?
Yes.
So let's say money to your boyfriend. So you say, like, for example, I would say, yes, Andrea told me that she lent, en pasado, she lent some money, to her
Her
boyfriend.
boy.
Exactly like that. Hmm? If I want to use this structure. Entonces, she lends some money, it would be it, to her boyfriend, that it would be him, si lo quisiera usar with pronouns. Or the other possibility, it's using it with this one. So she lent,
Him
exactly. She lent him some money.
some money.
Exactly. Of course, I can say she lent him it, but it's not very common that both objects are a pronoun. Not very common because when you use both objects as a pronoun, it's not very clear what you want to say, what you mean, right? So in that case, for example, the first one is a pronoun, but the second one is complete. Or she lends some money to him. The first one is a pronoun, and the second one, pardon, the first one is complete, and the second one is a pronoun. So, but it's not very common that both objects are pronouns because then it gets a little bit confusing, no? So, but that's it.
Okay,
Question,
teacher.
answer, difficulties or problems?
No, teacher. More or less.
More or less. Okay, very good. Let's check it out. I'm going to erase this part here. Well, what we're going to have here, well, it's basically what I just told you about the pronouns, but let's read it, the explanation. Could you please help me to read the first asterisk here?
When the direct object is a pronoun, it goes before the indirect object. Example: my best friend always money to me. My best friend always eat to me.
Owes it to me. Exactly. So
Oh,
when the direct object it's what? It's a pronoun. It goes before. Yes. Si tienes el objeto completo, for example, money, it can be at the end, for example, no? Depending the verb, of course, right? But here we have a second one. Could you please tell me?
when the indirect object is a pronoun, it can go before or after the direct object. Example: the teacher give gave me the best grade.
or
The teacher gave the best grade to me.
to me. Very good. But because in that case, me only can be a pronoun. No hay otra forma que yo pueda mencionar me, ¿cierto? Me es only me. Cambio acá sí, it puede ser mommy. Ready? So it depends, ¿no? And also depends on the verb. Ready? Bueno. For example, if I want to say that the man le dio un paseo a la chica, ready? En la moto, right? So maybe give y paseo sería como right. Right. Hmm? What could be the two possibilities for organizing the sentence?
Mm, he gave her a ride.
Good. Option number one, he gives her a right.
He gives her a ride.
Of course, in that case, following the second structure, no? Indirect object first, and then direct object. Muy bien. And the other option,
Eh, he gives a ride to her or to her.
exactly, he gives a right to her, or to the girl, as you prefer. Easy, no? So in that case, following the first structure, he gives a right direct object, preposition to, and then the indirect object. Ready? I could be the same, or I could do the same with give a call, which is like llamar, darle una llamada, no? So she give him, or she gives him a call, or she gives a call for him or to him. Ready? So it's exactly this. Questions under difficulties or problems?
No, teacher.
Easy, right? Listo, my dear. In this case, it's important that you try to remember the verbs, but because they are not so many, yes, and try to organize it on the other way. For example, here we have lend. So you tell me lend. Option number one, option number two, or the two options? Cases. Option number one, option number two, or the two options?
Two options.
The two options, no? What about give? Option number one, option number two, or the two options?
Two options.
Good, very good. Ask. Option number one, option number two, or the two options?
Option number two.
Good, excellent, very good. What about if we comment? Option number one, option number two, the two options?
Option number one.
Very good, right? So in that case, it's important that you try to remember those verbs like, okay, este es con ta, ta, ta. But to be honest, in real life, you are going to make a lot of mistakes with this, right? That's why I said there is an structure, but if you use the other structure by mistake, it's not a problem. It's going to be understood. It's clear for the other person. It's not correct, but it's clear for the other person. Ready? So you don't have to worry about making a mistake in this case, right? So no problem at all. Questions? It's like difficulties here? It's easy,
No, teacher.
It's all good. Listo, Andre, my dear. So, well, for the moment, that's it. Try to advance in this time of vacations on your activities. Ready?
Yes,
So
teacher.
that when we come back on January, you are almost finished there. Ready? So,
Okay, teacher.
listo, my dear.
Thank you very
So,
much.
thanks to you for all the things. If you need something, tell the teacher whatever that you need. And if not, I'm going to be back. There is a recess week, which is the week from the 26th to the 30th of December, right? In that week, you are not going to have class, so don't worry. If you want to take the class number 8, we're going to take it when I come back on January, ready? So no problem. Uh, sorry, and that's it, ready? So if you need anything, let me know. Have a good night, sleep tight,
Teacher, I
and
have a doubt.
Yes, of course.
Who checks my checkpoints?
He will do it. I hope so.
Bueno.
I think so. I think so. Well, to be honest, the teacher, it's like in process of getting familiar with the process, but I hope that he checks your checkpoints. If not, when I come back, I check all of them. Don't worry.
Okay, teacher.
It's
Thank
no
you very
problem.
much.
No, no problem. It's a pleasure. So, my dear Andrea, have a good night and a good vacations and happy Christmas and happy New Year and everything of that. Right?
Teachers, the same for you and happy holidays.
You happy holidays. Yeah, that's it. Mm. So, have a
Teacher,
good
thank
night. Thanks to
good
you.
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye bye.